Okay, so today we're going to look at a shortcut to factoring very specific types of trinomials. So we've looked at factoring before with three terms like this. So you see I have two problems, both with three terms, and you guys know the AC method in order to factor those. So go ahead and pause the video, do the AC method for those two, and then you can play the video when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so just kind of looking here, you can see I did the AC method on both of them. So I multiply A times C, find two factors that would multiply to AC that add to the B term in the middle. Once I find those, I break that middle term apart and then I group, and I get down to x plus 3, x plus 4. Then on number 2, do the same method, AC, find the two factors that add to the middle, break that middle term apart and group down to x minus 4, x plus 5. So at this point, we want to be able to recognize, is there a shortcut that I could possibly use? And if you notice, in both of these problems, we did AC and found the factors. The factors were 3 and 4. And then if you look down at the answer, my two numbers inside the parentheses were 3 and 4. Here my two factors were negative 4 and positive 5. If I look down at my answer, the numbers inside the parentheses are negative 4 and positive 5. Okay, so essentially the shortcut, it only works part of the time, but this shortcut is essentially just cutting out all of this grouping stuff. I still multiply AC, I still find my two factors, and then those factors go straight into the parentheses. Okay, so a special note here, this shortcut can only be used if, I guess to put it simply, there is no number in front of x squared. Okay, so if there's no number in front of x squared, that's when I can use this shortcut. If there's a number out in front of x squared, I still have to use the regular AC method. Okay, so just to look at one of them together, I'll just look at B together with you. Okay, so looking at B here together, all I'm doing is multiplying AC, so that's 15x squared. And then I want to know what numbers multiply to 15x squared that add to negative 8. So the numbers that multiply to 15 that add to negative 8 would be negative 3 and negative 5. So as soon as I find those factors, since there's no number in front of x squared and I'm using my shortcut, I can go straight into my two sets of parentheses. Okay? So the x squared tells me that both of these are going to start with x, and that's always the way it is on the shortcut. They all both start with x. And then these factors right here go straight into my parentheses. Keep in mind, if it's negative, it's going to be minus the number. If it's positive, it's going to be plus the number. So here, since we have a negative 3, I'm going to do minus 3, and a negative 5 will be minus 5. And then I have x minus 3, x minus 5. Okay? All right. So I want you to try the other 4. If you can use the shortcut method, great, do that. If you can't use the shortcut method because there's a number in front of x squared, you're going to have to do the old AC method. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video, work through those 4 examples, and then you can go ahead and start it back up to see the answers. Okay, so looking at the try these, on A, I see there's no number out in front of the v squared, so I can do my shortcut. Numbers that multiply to 25 to add to negative 10 would be negative 5 and negative 5, so v minus 5 are my two sets of parentheses. Okay, we already did B together. On C, make sure you're on the lookout for a GCF. On C, I can take out a GCF of 3. So I bring out my GCF of 3, and then I have a trinomial in here. And again, there's no number in front of this x squared, so I can use my shortcut inside the parentheses. So again, the two numbers that multiply to 25 that add to negative 10 are negative 5 and negative 5. So I have my two sets of parentheses with x minus 5, x minus 5. Okay, D is another one that we can use the shortcut because there's no number out in front of x squared. So the numbers that multiply to negative 28 that add to 12 would be negative 2 and positive 14. So those go straight into my parentheses. So x minus 2 and x plus 14. And then lastly, E, I see that I can divide all these by 2 first, so I take a GCF of 2 out. But that still doesn't help me because I still have a number in front of x squared. So remember, if I ever have a number in front of x squared, I have to do the long AC method. You can't do the shortcut. So I do A times C 4 times 5 is 20x squared. Numbers that then add to negative 12x would be negative 2x and negative 10x. So I break my middle term apart here in the middle, and then I group from there and get down to my 2 sets of parentheses. Just make sure anytime you take out a GCF, it is also part of your answer. Okay, so that's the shortcut.